Hey, nice to meet you, Mr. Teef. It's Army Olson.
Army, great to sit down with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you about the Azure team and how we can help you out. I recently met you, at the wedding of our mutual family friend, and it was really interesting to talk to you a little bit. Talk a little about business, and really nice of you to set up this meeting.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I've been doing a little research, looking into financial statements, looking through some reports and things like that. I really think that Azure could be a perfect match, but I have a couple questions for you. So I kind of wanted to talk about, a little bit about my experience here, and then ask you some questions about your business, and then just kind of see if there's any steps moving forward that we could possibly help you out with.
Absolutely.
All right, so that sounds great. So anyway, I'm Army. I'm obviously a salesperson. We met a little bit. I work for Azure, and I try and sell their products to generally big companies. Right now, we're already helping out Little Caesars. Was a recent sale that I made, and is now not Little Caesars, excuse me, Caesar's Palace that I made, and we're selling to, and for a fairly large customer for us. But we're moving forward and trying to add more casinos. And I really think our suite of products for Caesar's Palace could help you guys out in addition. So. Further ado, a couple of my questions is, so I was looking through in 2020 plans, sports betting was a really big area of interest for you guys and area of growth. Is that still something that's going on? What's the update?
Yeah, absolutely. Sports betting is definitely a big area where we plan on trying to grow. It is probably our top priority, among other things in our organization, to centralize in terms of our online environment.
Yeah.
But on top of sports betting, I think that security in terms of technology is extremely important to us. However, you mentioned MGM 2020. It's been hard recently with COVID to focus our efforts on that because of the Fed lay off a lot of people, revenue has slowed down. So it's a little bit on the back burner in terms of COVID, but it's still high on our priority list.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you guys, I think correct me if I'm wrong here, it sounds like you're not quite willing to make that upfront investment just to kind of keep the company profitable and survive through COVID. But if it became more profitable quicker, you'd be more interested in that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that right now it's hard to throw money into investments when there's so much money being lost to the company. But if there's something that could be achieved through a lot of high growth, our company's definitely interested.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up also centralization and security, because those are two areas where Microsoft really tries to push itself to become the top. We have multiple sales states on security, multiple systems to back us up. We spend a lot of research and development on that, especially with some current UK laws that came out about where data can be moved through. We've added a lot of more server capacity globally just to keep information inside certain countries so that we don't have to disclose it. And that's something that we really push for. And I'm also glad you brought up centralization, because that's something that, obviously you guys don't want to have 10 different teams globally trying to manage your millions of websites. You want, the China team, the European team, and the American team managing your probably several different looks of website that you have, for Chinese and everything else like that, and different languages. So what we want to try to make that as easy as possible to centralize so your EBITDA is higher. And I think that's a high priority for you guys from what I can tell. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, one of our highest priorities is making sure our revenue is strong and that our EBIT is high.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear more about how you kind of think about Azure could fit into that.
Yeah. So obviously between security and centralization, but some of the things that we're offering is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, if you have a customer, you guys store a lot of personal customer information, I imagine, based on your business model. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. As we have millions and millions of customers, both in person and online.
Yeah.
So we definitely have a lot of data.
Yeah, and you're storing where they spend money and everything related to their visits with MGM. Is that correct?
Yeah, especially when someone has a card.
Yeah.
Wherever they access the hotel, they have a card. Sometimes they can put money on that card, so we can see where they spend money, how much money they spend, and kind of track customer movements throughout our casinos.
Yeah. So I think that a perfect example would be, if you have a person that really likes Italian food, and they want to, you can tell that they've gone there a couple nights in a row, and then you're opening up a new Italian restaurant, and let's say MGM in Macau. You guys know half of you can market, market. Say that person travels based on their job. Machine learning will say, all right, we're going to market to this person with this new Italian restaurant. Maybe they'll want to go because they're already in China to go to Macau. You already know they like gambling because they're in MGM, right? So that's something that I think that you could really help you guys out and increase your customer experience so that they really enjoy their time here.
I think that's really interesting. I think the customer experience is pretty key.
Yeah.
However, there are concerns about with this much user data, the securities of it. So recently, I don't know if you know this, but AWS, not entirely their fault, but we had about 10 million user data lost, and we're very conscientious about that. Because that reflects poorly on us. It hurts our trust with our customers, and so when we're thinking about expanding online and through digitization, we want to make sure that security is really important. So, do you want to touch on more about Azure security?
So we have, like I said, we have global holding spaces, data centers all around the world, and the idea is that the data won't go too far across cables, and in addition to that, there are many layers of security on the cloud to make sure that it hasn't. That this is our biggest priority, and if you look at one of our 10Ks, it's one of the top risk factors listed in our 10K. And the reason is because if our security were broken, it would really destroy our brand image as one of the leaders in the industry on security. Obviously, the AWS leak is embarrassing for you, makes AWS look bad, and makes you look bad to your customers, right? And it's a little trickle down. No one wants to happen. So that's why we're very focused on making sure that none of those problems arise in the first place. And there's always people trying to hack you, but you gotta be fighting them nonstop, so to speak.
Exactly. Now, how do you think that Azure fits into the sports betting?
Yeah,
we talked about this. I like what you guys are saying about security.
Yeah. So sports betting, I think that sports betting, you're going to need to have an individualized customer experience on the screen. If someone's more prone to betting on certain teams, maybe you want to try and emphasize those teams. You already have great relations with MGM with many teams in the leagues, several different sports leagues, like basketball and football, I believe, are the two primary ones. But if let's say someone's a diehard Maverick fan, they're going to want to place more bets on Mavericks based on I imagine. So you're probably going to want to market to them, or maybe someone really likes the money line and sports betting that way. You might want to focus that you're doing some special on the money line. The whole idea is that you specialize the experience on there to them, just like you do in a resort. And obviously right now your resorts are closed and you're having that issue, but I think that this could be brought over to the resort aspect as well, in addition to sports betting. So, if a customer is coming in late, maybe as an example, but if they're experiencing some issues getting to the hotel, there's some way you can talk to them over the app or communicate with them to make sure that experience is best. And I think that's something that we also offer.
Well, what I've heard is great. I think that you touched on one of our biggest concerns with our growth of digitization, and that's security.
Yeah.
And so I really like what you said about how Azure can fit with that, and I really like what you kind of were talking about with how you think sports betting is going to look at in the future, and the work that you've already been doing. So I'm definitely interested in discussing this more.
Yeah, let's set up a time to meet here in the near future. I imagine you have a little bit of conversation with your team, and I'll how about I send out an email, and maybe end of the day today. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Army.